Hey guys, welcome back to Crypto Clan. Today we'll be looking at how Hedera Hashgraph compares to Bitcoin. Let's have a look at the fundamental features of the distributed ledger technologies, Bitcoin and Hedera Hashgraph. Hedera Hashgraph boasts one of the fastest transaction rates amongst all distributed ledger technologies, whereby Hedera is able to process an incredible 10,000 transactions per second and can potentially achieve a transaction throughput of 500,000 transactions per second. Hedera's incredible high throughput transaction rate enables it to impressively process far more transactions per second compared to the mainstream payment processors Visa and MasterCard, which can process 24,000 and 5,000 transactions per second respectively. Bitcoin, the number one ranked cryptocurrency, can process 3 to 7 transactions per second in its layer 1 form. Bitcoin's relatively low transaction rate is apparent due to its use of a proof of work consensus, whereby transactions are validated and processed by miner nodes and listed on blocks on the blockchain. Miner nodes can only process a certain amount of transactions on a block at any given time. This leads to a congestion in the blockchain and thus leading to low transaction rates. However, in 2015, Bitcoin's low transaction rate was overcome through the advent of the Lightning Network. The Lightning Network is a layer 2 chain added to the blockchain network, which enables transactions to be done between parties off of the blockchain, called off-chain transactions. Bitcoin's layer 2 chain acts in a similar way that credit cards work, whereby transactions between individuals can be carried out instantaneously by the transaction settlement but the transaction settlement is processed days or weeks later. The layer 2 Lightning Network works when two individuals come together and carry out a transaction. This transaction is carried out through their digital wallet. These transactions are later broadcasted on the blockchain as normal, and the total balance on the wallets are recorded. Transactions occurring between these individuals can be carried out equal to the amount of Bitcoin present in their wallets, and as the Bitcoin transactions are not broadcasted on the blockchain straight away, transactions can be carried out instantaneously and fees can be as low as 1 Satoshi or 100 millionth of a Bitcoin. Bitcoin's layer 2 network can theoretically process millions of transactions per second. The layer 2 network currently powers the digital payment app Strike. As many of you may know, El Salvador recently made Bitcoin legal tender. The Strike app and thus the Lightning Network is set to be used to allow for individuals to carry out Bitcoin transactions readily and in an inexpensive manner. Despite Hedera's mainnet only being active since 2018, it is the world's most used crypto network, whereby over 1.3 billion transactions have occurred on its network. This is in contrast to Bitcoin's network, which has had over 650 million total transactions. The large disparity in transactions between the two networks can be explained due to the two DLT systems using different consensus methods. Hedera uses Hashgraph technology, which involves the use of the Gossip Protocol. The use of the Gossip Protocol enables information entering the network to be actively validated. This allows information to be verified faster as more transactions enter the network. This is in contrast to Bitcoin's proof of work consensus model, which involves mining nodes solving an arbitrary mathematical problem. The first miners which solve the mathematical problem aggregates and records transactions into the next block. The use of proof of work is a timely method, and thus the blockchain network is limited by the amount of transactions it can validate in a certain time frame. However, as previously stated, the advent of the Lightning Network can overcome the limitations in transaction verification. Bitcoin is totally decentralized. This means there is no one body which controls the Bitcoin network. This reduces the risk of the network becoming corrupted. Bitcoin's proof of work consensus mechanism ensures decentralization, as the computing power required to validate transactions and produce new blocks decentralizes potential attackers and malicious miners from attempting to attack the system. This is due to a lot of energy, and thus monetary power would be required to achieve this. Hedera is currently quasi-decentralized, whereby Hedera's nodes are controlled in-house and are in the hands of their council members. Despite this sounding centralized, the governing council members who hold the nodes have no obligation to each other. The governing council members are also known, thus their identities are fully transparent, and thus potential malicious activities which may arise on the network would be unlikely. Hedera's network is set to become totally decentralized in the future, whereby thousands if not millions of non-private nodes would be rolled out to the wider public. These nodes are expected to reach consensus through proxy staking, with a number of accredited companies and organizations on Hedera's governing council, such as Google, IBM, UCL and Boeing. Hedera as a brand could be perceived as trustworthy, and thus plans of future total decentralization shouldn't be doubted. Hedera's network offers impressive low transaction fees. Hedera has a flat transaction fee of $0.0001 per transaction. The low transaction fees provided by Hedera, coupled with a high transaction throughput, could enable high scalability potentials for the network. This is in contrast to Bitcoin's average on-chain transaction fee of $22.57 per transaction. These high transaction fees are apparent due to Bitcoin transactions needing to be entered into blocks in order for the transaction to be confirmed. However, only a certain number of transactions can be stored in a block. During periods of high volume, transaction fees can skyrocket. This is due to Bitcoin users competing to outbid each other in order to get their transaction confirmed first, as miners prioritize transactions with the highest fees. However, individuals and entities can bypass these high transaction fees through the use of the Lightning Network. As well as offering very low transaction fees, Hedera is one of the most energy efficient DLT platforms. Hedera uses a mind-blowing 0.00017 kilowatts per hour per transaction. This figure is substantially less compared to Bitcoin, which uses around 885 kilowatts per hour per transaction. Bitcoin in total uses more energy than Malaysia and Sweden. As well as being more energy efficient compared to Bitcoin, Hedera uses less energy per transaction than the mainstream payment processors Visa and MasterCard, which we all use for day-to-day transactions. As well as both cryptocurrencies having impressive fundamental features, both Hedera and Bitcoin have been involved in a number of exciting recent developments. Arguably, one of the biggest stories ever involving cryptocurrencies is El Salvador's recent classification of Bitcoin as legal tender. On the 9th of June, the El Salvadorian Congress approved President Nayib Bukele's proposal to embrace the cryptocurrency, with 62 out of 84 possible votes voting in favour for the motion. Bitcoin will become legal tender alongside the US dollar in 90 days. The new law means every business must accept Bitcoin as legal tender for goods or services, unless it is unable to provide the technology needed to do the transactions. Bitcoin is expected to be mainly used as a means of enabling easier remittance payments, which makes up 20% of El Salvador's GDP. The president of El Salvador also stated that the move will open up financial services to 70% of El Salvadorians who do not have a bank account. Hedera arguably has the most accredited backers amongst all altcoins, whereby a number of corporations and organizations are members of the Hedera Board of Governance. Such companies include Google, UCL, IBM, T-Mobile, and Africa's largest bank, Standard Bank. MTech, a pioneer in central bank digital currency development, is working alongside Hedera in a number of ventures, including the development of a Federal Reserve CBDC. The MTech and Hedera joint venture, known as Project New Dawn, aims to facilitate improvements in banking infrastructure, which will be available for all Americans and will especially aid in helping over 60 million Americans that have limitations in their ability to access banking systems. CBDCs will enable seamless monetary transactions between an American citizen and the USA's central bank, the Federal Reserve. The advent of CBDCs will aid in improving the transfer of potential stimulus money to a recipient and enabling the Federal Reserve to improve monetary management for the overarching US economy. MTech's partnership with the Federal Reserve was given greater validity when its CEO and founder, Carmel Cadet, testified before the US House of Representatives on the future of blockchain and central bank digital currency, or CBDC. Hedera's Hashgraph algorithm is due to be the backbone for transactions to be validated, whereby Hashgraph technology's rapid ability to verify up to 50,000 transactions per second, low transaction fees, and low energy consumption would be a desired mechanism for CBDC activity to occur. Do you prefer Hedera or Bitcoin? Could Hedera join Bitcoin as a DLT powerhouse in the next 10 years? Let us know your views in the comments below. Thank you for watching the video, we hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, subscribe and click on the notification bell. Let us know your views in the comments below. Thank you for watching and we'll see you in the next video.